For over 100 years, they've been helping Catholics in isolated and struggling communities across the country to experience their faith in an excellent way. We'll find out how they do it tonight, so please stay with us. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. I'm Father Mitch Pacwa, and welcome to EWTN Live, our chance to bring you guests from all over the world. Before we go to our guests, just want to mention that today is the feast of Pope St. John I. He was born around the year 470 AD and was Pope from 523 to 526. He had a lot of trouble in Italy because some of the barbarians who had invaded were Arian heretics, and they were opposing the Catholic faith, and he stood firm for the Catholic faith. But at the same time, he also tried to defend the rights of the people themselves, over against the emperor in Constantinople. And so he went to Constantinople. He was the first pope to travel over there and had difficulty with the emperor defending the rights of the people back in Italy. So today it had a short reign, but a very holy one. So we celebrate Pope St. John the First. Now, tonight's guest has traveled all over the country to help provide support for America's poor and remote Catholic missions. One day he might be in the bayou of South Louisiana or on a Native American reservations out west. And then the next week in the far reaches of Alaska. But tonight, he's here with us in Birmingham, Alabama, which is a mission diocese itself. So please welcome the president of the Catholic Extension Society, Father Jack Wall. Father Jack, thanks, Mitch. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Delighted to be here.
We've had Bishop Houck as a guest to talk about Catholic Extension Society in the past. It's nice to have you at this point. How long have you been president of Catholic Extension?
Yeah, I'm going into my fifth year.
Fifth year. How do you like it?
Oh, it's been very, very exciting. It's a great adventure. You get to travel all over the United States and to see the Catholic community take its many different expressions throughout our country. It's a real treat, and it's a real honor. I leave edified after visiting the many places I get a chance to visit.
One of the things that many Americans are not aware of is that there are large parts of the country that are still mission territory. About how much of the country is still considered mission?
It is a surprise to people. There are 196 dioceses in the United States, and 86 of them are mission dioceses.
So it's about a third
of the diocese.
Right.
And then in terms of people, there are about 64 million Catholics. About 11 million of them live in these 86 dioceses. So it's about a sixth of the Catholic population. Mm-hmm. And in terms of landmass of the United States, it's actually 2/3 of the territory of the United States are mission dioceses.
Now, in one way, they're cheating because that includes Alaska, right?
Yes, yeah. That's the biggest. That's the biggest. I think Fairbanks, Alaska, is 400,000 square miles.
That's
the diocese, huge. So it
That's
is.
Huge. But it's an important mission in Alaska, and in these other states as well. So that there's a huge landmass that is mission territory, and what exactly does the Catholic Extension Society do?
Well, you've described it well. The thing that's not being described is the vibrancy of the Catholic community in the United States. There may be many places that are under-resourced in many different ways, but the faith is very, very strong and very vibrant and very alive. Some of them are very small communities. Some of them are in very dense communities of Catholics. Brownville, Texas has one priest for every 9,000 Catholics.
Wow.
So there's a great variety of what it looks like, from small Inuit Eskimo villages up in Fairbanks, Alaska, down to very densely Catholic places. But the common denominator is that they are Catholic communities that are growing, that are vibrating, that are alive in faith and very strong in faith, but they are under-resourced, and they need the help of Catholic people outside of their diocese. And so what Catholic Extension is, it's the instrument, it's the extension of the Catholic community to every part of the United States, so that no part of the United States will ever feel that it can't be vibrant and alive in faith. And what we are is we're meant to be here together. You know, we have a responsibility to spread the gospel to the four corners of the world, but we have a special responsibility to make sure that the gospel is heard and lived and celebrated and expressed in our own land and among our own people.
Yeah, this is, Catholicism is far and away the largest religion in the country. We're 4 times as large as the next largest Christian community. And, this is a great responsibility. I don't think that's a cause for triumphalism so much as it is for responsibility for the whole community to help take care of this mission.
And they always say that the second largest group of Christians in the United States after the Catholic Church are people who have been Catholic and have left the church.
The ex-Catholics.
Yes, and so one of the challenges is to make sure that doesn't happen, that people really have an opportunity to live their faith and express their faith. And it would be very terrible if we were in a situation where people who really wanted to live their faith in a vibrant way were not given the opportunity to do so because of a lack of resources.
Well, in terms of the resources, what kind of resources do you provide?
Well, obviously one of the big issues that people are asking about is just the financial support. But the financial support isn't just the dollars, it's what money can bring to the work. Mm-hmm. And what Catholic Extension does is it tries to resource a diocese in about 5 or 6 different ways. One of them is we're very, very involved in the future training of the leadership of those dioceses. So that would be seminarians, deacons, and lay Catholics that are really trying to these dioceses we're looking for the future leadership, and they need help in paying for their tuition and education. This would surprise a lot of people, but there are 500 seminarians in the United States that are being supported through the work of Catholic Extension. And that's a large number of future priests for these dioceses. I
mean, if you asked a lot of people, they wouldn't even know that there were 500 seminarians in the country.
Yes.
To say that 500 of them are being supported by the Extension Society is itself a huge surprise.
And it's a great need. It's one of the biggest expenses of a diocese, and it's amazing that as people are blessed with vocations, often they don't have the funds to support the education of those seminarians. So it's a very real need. Another thing we do is we help support and pay for the salaries of priests and religious and lay leadership presently serving in these dioceses. So that's a very real need as well. Often a diocese has the opportunity to have a community of sisters come to work with them, and that community would not be able to sustain itself and would need help from outside.
Right.
And so that's another big part of what we do. We sustain the ministries that are presently going on. One of the charming things and delightful things and beautiful things about Extension is we literally have built many of the churches, the physical structures in these dioceses as well. In the 100-year-old history, I believe the number is 12,000 churches have been built in the United States.
12,000?
Yes.
That's a huge number.
It is, and it's a profound thing. And many of them were started out as small little chapels. On Palm Sunday, I had the honor to celebrate Palm Sunday in a small chapel that seated about 60 people in a rural area of the Dakotas, and it was just a wonderful celebration of faith, and that was typical of what was built maybe 100 years ago. And the message of Father Kelly, who started the Catholic Extension, was, if you build it, they will come. He said it before anybody else said it, and really said that
way before the movie.
Before they that we really Catholics are a people that come together around the table of the Lord, and to build that table in a small, humble chapel was very important. But what's happening now is that every one of these communities is growing, and we're always getting requests if they might be able to expand the church community and the churches that we have built. So it's an exciting part of our mission as well.
Yeah. I've been to a number of the churches down here in the South that were built by the Extension Society. And again, they're sometimes very small, and they have small numbers of people because Catholicism is not large in some of the southern states. In Texas it is, like you mentioned with Brownsville, Texas, but in Alabama it's not. And so, but these are very important communities, and they are very vibrant.
Yes.
I get a chance sometimes to go to celebrate masses in local churches, and it's a very positive experience because the folks are really committed.
Yeah, and a beautiful story of that for me was the opportunity to visit Camden, Mississippi, which literally is, through the forest and down a country road into the back country of Mississippi. And you go back there and you go through the forest and the woods, and there's an opening, and there is this beautiful little community of about 60 African American Catholics that have created this exciting church called Sacred Heart. And it is a symbol of hope and inspiration way beyond them. The work that they are doing to try to bring hope and opportunity for people in the community at large is just, it's absolutely, as I said before, it's edifying to see what Catholic communities can do and how they can be really transforming not only in their own faith life and their own community life, but what that community can mean to the larger community around them. Yeah,
a lot of times, the impression people have is that because Catholicism is very small in areas like the Deep South, that it's not really much of a significant factor in the community. But that's not the case at all. That there's very much a vibrant impact, and we become noticed, in the community by the things that we do.
I was up in Tennessee last night, and they were talking about a community of sisters that went down there many years ago, and in an area that was very prejudiced against the Catholic community, and they came in as nurses and created a hospital in Tennessee, and now everybody who goes there is from the larger community, and the sisters are beloved. And that's happened over and over again, where people of faith go into a community and transform the culture. A lot of the hopes of the popes right now is that we might create this new evangelization, and that part of it we would be people who evangelize our culture. And I think when you think about the Catholic Church in many of the communities we serve, they really are evangelizing of the larger reality of the world in which we live, and they do it with great gusto. Bishop Wester in Salt Lake City was saying to me, there is no accidental Catholic in Utah, in the state of Utah.
No.
It's a Mormon state. And
exactly.
You cannot be an accidental Catholic.
And the Mormons are very, concerned to spread their faith. They have a strong sense of mission, and they go mission. So if you're a Catholic, you really want to be Catholic.
Yes. Yeah. And that's an exciting thing for me to experience. I came from a place in Chicago that was densely Catholic, and the Catholics have had a huge impact on the larger culture. And I think if you are...
I know, back home in Chicago, even the Jews will tell you what parish they're from.
You're right, absolutely, absolutely. And to go to a place and to see that same vibrancy in which people are so intentionally living their faith, it's very, very impressive. And you really believe... all that we have come to believe that what the gospel is meant to do. One of my favorite stories from the scriptures is that really has been a source of inspiration for me for Catholic Extension is the great dialogue that takes place between Philip and Nathaniel in the early part of the Gospel of John. And Philip excitedly goes up to his friend Nathaniel and said, "I found the Messiah," And Nathaniel said, "Oh yeah? Where's he from?" You know, it's a very Chicago question. Where is he from?
What neighborhood are you from?
And you know, and Philip in his excitement says, from Nazareth in Galilee. You know, and Nathaniel retorts, you know, what good can ever come out of Nazareth? You know?
Exactly.
And when you think about the church and its life in our country, and how it started out, you know, often in very needy situations where they didn't have anything. Everybody was dirt poor as immigrant people. They came to the country, and what has been built up from the faith, and it's the faith that is transformative. One of our mantras at Catholic Extension is build faith that inspires hope and ignites change. And I experience that over and over and over again when I travel.
Yeah, that's very exciting because, you know, you go to, for instance, some of the small parishes in South Louisiana, you know, they will try to imitate, even though they're tiny little churches, they will try to imitate some, you know, decorations from the old French churches that are the roots of their ancestors. And they want it to be a place that they can go to that's beautiful. And they want to bring beauty into the society and come to a place where they know it's beautiful and it's not the ordinary.
Yes.
And that's one of the roles of building churches, is that we want a place of beauty.
Yes. I was in Montana, and the Jesuits were one of the first to be really missioners in the Northwest area. And I came across this really inspiring church on the prairie, St. Ignatius Parish in Montana. And it's literally countryside all around it, and this beautifully steepled church there. And you walk into it, and it's like there was this primitive Michelangelo. He was a Jesuit brother that literally created these beautiful mosaics throughout the whole church. It was just absolutely beautiful. All the frescoes, throughout the church. Very lovely.
Yeah, no, that's something that gets passed on from one generation to another, inspiring beauty in the lives of people, so that building a church is not just building a meeting place, it's building something that inspires something much more and anchors a community in a series of experiences that go from the beginning of life all the way through death. And these cannot be underestimated.
No. And at the heart of it, too, it's building that community of faith. And staying up in Montana, I visited a wonderful priest, Father Ed Kohler, and he was given our Lumen Christi Award this year. It's the Light of Christ Award, and we give an award every year to an outstanding home missioner, a missioner here in the United States that's serving the people of the United States. And he is in the Blackfeet Indian Nation in the northern part of Montana. And it's a very, very poor community. They have no resources. They've been kind of pushed into a very challenging physical environment around them. After years, there's heavy addictions, there's a lot of abuse. It's a very difficult community. And he brought the gift of faith in a new way, in a powerful way. Every adult member of the Catholic community up there has participated in the Cursillo movement, this beautiful faith-inspiring and faith-intensifying effort that has been part of the Catholic tradition for decades now. Every adult member has been part of this. They all continue to participate in the ultreas, the regular weekly gatherings of faith. And basically they said, our children are not going to live except out of this vision of faith. And they have really encouraged a whole new generation of people to choose away from things that are dispiriting and deadening of their lives, and they've really offered them a whole expression of hope. They had the audacity to invite the Christian brothers, the De La Salle Christian brothers, to start a school in their community. And they kept on asking, and the Christian brothers kept on saying, no, we don't have the resources to do this. Finally, after 7 years of begging, the Christian brothers finally said that they would do this. And so they started this middle school in the community from 5th through 8th grade. The children then go back into the Native American high school. They've had 3 classes graduate now from the high school that started in this school. In those 3 classes, 2 of the 3 valedictorians came from the Little Flower School right there in Browning, Montana. And of those 2 graduates, one was given a full scholarship to Gonzaga University, and the most recent one was given a 4-year scholarship in pre-med to Stanford University.
Wow.
And this is coming out of a community, you know, that just had nothing.
That has nothing.
They had nothing except faith.
Exactly.
Except faith.
And that's
the
everything.
transformative power of our faith is unbelievable.
Yeah.
No,
this is one of those things that, again, we cannot quantify. You know, like you can build a church because it costs so much money and all that, but you can't quantify the role of the faith in the lives of the people and the impact that they have. That's something beyond, you know, anything else that we would be able to talk about what we do.
And you know, I could be telling stories all night. And they're beautiful stories. I was down in the Gallup, New Mexico diocese, and there's two little sisters. They're diminutive. They're very small. Sister Mary Bernard and Sister Mary Esther. And they are at that age of their life where they probably should be at a mother house somewhere and retired. And they will not. They will die with their boots on. I mean, they're just they're
and in
wonderful
New Mexico,
people.
they mean that.
And they mean that. And Sister Mary Bernard walks with a stick. And but they have gone into this very poor community in the Gallup area, and they've started just an outreach program there. And people come in off the streets, and with some of the saddest stories, some of the most difficult stories. And Sister Mary Esther said to us so poignantly, she said, you know, if one person is saved, it's worth all of the effort in the world.
Right.
And what you experience is just more than that. Over and over again, people would get up and tell their stories of how the gift of faith has transformed their lives, and that they have moved from ways that were really moving them into death in many different ways, and their spirits have come alive, and they're overcoming very difficult challenges and raising families and creating a communities of hope.
That's one of the great things that, you know, we need to hear. A lot of folks, I think, around the country see churches closing, and they become discouraged because these churches were also points of beauty and the meaning of life, from baptism as an infant all the way through death as an older person, and all the steps in between went on in those churches, and they feel, you know, sort of worn down. They're like, is the church dying? But what you're saying is that it's anything but dying. It's really growing in so many places.
And, you know, I think that's a message that I really feel Catholic Extension offers. This is not just about the places I've talked about, but it's about the whole American Catholic Church, that we're all meant to be mission-driven. And that when you feel like things are dying, we come out of a faith tradition that says, where you sense death, there is new life being born. There's a new call to hear this gospel of the Christ rising from deadening situations and being expressed in the body of Christ in new ways and richer ways. And I'm absolutely convinced that if all of us as Catholics really caught this mission spirit and sense that what we are about is not ourselves, you know, the church is not a club, it's not a member-centered organization.
It's not the moose or the elk.
We're a mission-driven organization. We're meant to do the mission of Christ in the world, and to do it in transformative ways. And any way that we can bridge and make those connections to our brothers and sisters and help raise them up, it redounds way beyond us. And I think the whole American society and American culture can be touched if we just caught that spirit again of what it is to help expand the gospel. We believe the gospel is good news. We believe it's transforming of life. And if we help people live that, it will become hope for others, and it will create the kinds of change we want in our society.
On my other program that I do, Threshold of Hope, that I do Tuesday nights with the repeats, I'm going through Redemptoris Missio, you know, the encyclical about being on mission. And one of the points that the Pope brings up is that there are some people inside the church who think that missions are old-fashioned and out of date, and we don't need to do it. But you're not saying that at all.
No, I think it's at the heart of our faith. I mean, you know, Christ is not calling us to sit around and not be people that create and engage the creation that He is calling us to transform. And I think we are meant to be the people to live out of our faith in ways that change life.
Right.
You know, this is a life-changing reality. Conversion is a life-changing reality. And you've had many people on this show that have they've talked about it, in a very personal way. And I've listened to that story over and over again about how the gospel changes our life. And it's meant for us then to be that same gift to others.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think is worth bringing up is that Catholic Extension Society has been a vehicle for involving a lot of Catholics who are not directly in the missions, but Catholics who are in the more established parts of the church, but getting them involved in the work of this mission. How can other Catholics help the Extension Society to do its work?
Well, there are 64 million Catholics in the United States, and every one of us should be a part of Catholic Extension. We all should be a part of this experience to try to create a church and the works of the church throughout the world. When Jesus sent his disciples out, he sent them out 2 by 2, not 1 by 1. And for every missioner that's out there, that person needs a partner, somebody to walk alongside of him. And so my dream would be that every Catholic in the United States would be a mission partner that would join together with the missioners that are in these areas that are under-resourced and be there for them. And they can do it in very simple ways. They can help financially by just putting Catholic Extension as part of their annual philanthropy. And it doesn't matter what it might be, any kind of gift. But if we are all involved in this together, it can make a huge difference. Obviously, the prayerful awareness of that this is our work together, and that we realize that where the Eucharist is celebrated anywhere in the United States, we're all present to it.
Now, some people might like to be prayer partners for various missionaries. Do you have a way of helping them to do that?
Yes, if anyone would just get on our website, www.catholicextension.org, we can tell you how you can connect and be a mission partner with people in the mission diocese. It'd be a wonderful way to do it.
And it's, some people, of course, are homebound and can't get out themselves, but they can pray. Absolutely. And maybe pray for a specific missionary instead, pray for the missions in general, but to have a specific missionary or mission in mind might be a good way to do it, as well as for those who can get out to go and visit some of these missions, to be aware when you go on vacation, look for the local Catholic church, especially if it's out west.
Yes, and you'll find a plaque on those churches saying this was given as in memorial to someone through the work of Catholic Extension. So it is a wonderful way. But even the homebound, because I know often in terms of people watching the show, they're home, and the television is a very important part of it. And EWTN is a great way they connect to the faith. I was visiting someone who was one of our donors recently, and I was with his wife and his daughter. And this man could not speak very well anymore. He was hard of hearing. He was tied to his chair. And his daughter came over to him and put her arms around him and said, "Dad, you are doing more from this chair for the church in the United States than many, many other people from this chair." And that's exactly what you're saying.
Exactly.
His prayers and his support from that chair. That's what we believe about the mystical body. We're all connected to this way.
Exactly.
And it's a powerful way to be it. And a Catholic Extension is the vehicle.
Oh, that's great. It's time to take a break. We're going to take a break, but we want to get some of your questions and your comments. So please stay with us and call in, and we'll be back with you in just a couple minutes. Thank you. Thank you, and welcome back. I would like to give you a little more information about the Catholic Extension Society USA. You can call them during business hours in the daytime at 1-800-842-7804. That's 1-800-842-7804. Or you can go to the website anytime at www.catholicextension.org. Catholic Extension as one word, .org. And you can find out more about what they're doing and various ways you can partner with the Catholic Extension Society in order to make an impact, getting a prayer partner or maybe even a mission. You know, that would be one way for a family to do a vacation, go out to one of these missions and see if there's some work that they can do to help out. You know, not all missions can do that, but some can.
Yes.
And that would be a great thing to find out from the Extension Society. Also, I want to remind you that we have a nice big group of folks that came here by bus, as well as a number of individuals who are here. And if you would like to join us on pilgrimage, we invite you to do so. You can call our pilgrimage department at 205-271-2966. That's 205-271-2966. Or go to our website, www.ewtn.com, and they'll help you with information about where you can stay, the scheduling for the masses, programs, tours of the network, directions on how to get up to Hansville to see the sisters, as well as be here in Irondale at the studios. So come on down. It really is enjoyable to have all of you come. It makes the show a lot more fun for me, too.
Very good.
All right. You ready for some questions?
Sure.
All right, Father Jack. We have Sue on the line. Hello, Sue. Hello, are you there? I don't hear her. All right, we'll take a question from our studio audience. Ma'am, if you'd come up over here. Ma'am, where are you from?
I'm from Belmont Abbey College, North Carolina.
Oh, that's a beautiful place. I've been by it.
Beautiful place.
And what's your question?
My question is there a need for Catholic Bibles? I know that Protestant Bibles are readily available for either Catholic Bibles for seminarians or for your missions. Do you collect Bibles for them, or is there any way that people can help?
Thank you. You know, Bibles are a very important part of the mission and ministry, obviously, of the Catholic Extension, and especially with a lot of our youth work, both in terms of campus ministry and youth programs, and also in terms of prison ministry. There are a lot of young Catholics that are in prison,
yes.
And it's a wonderful thing to be able to provide them with Bibles. The most effective way of doing it would be not to send us a Bible, because we don't have a big distribution center. But if anyone would want to be part of that ministry and send us a check to help us purchase those Bibles, or let the diocese purchase the Bibles, we would be very appreciative.
Okay, that'd be a good way to do it, because you don't have a warehouse
exactly.
where you collect clothes and things, because you're not like Catholic Charities helping out in disasters and things like that, are you?
Well, we are not a program-driven organization. We are the conduit out of which we hope we support the diocese in their efforts to do the good church experiences we try to create with them.
Right. It's in one sense, it strikes me as Catholic Extension Society stays out of the way of the people doing the work. They just help them get some of the resources they need to get their work done.
There's a lot of creativity out there. We're just trying to support it.
Yeah. That's which is a great thing, because you know, this is one part of the cleverness of Catholics through the centuries. You know, I'll never forget the story of a Jesuit missionary in China. He gave the Emperor of China a clock, but he didn't give him the key. And it was against the law for foreigners to go into the royal palace without the emperor specifically inviting them. So every day the emperor would have to invite this Jesuit into the palace to wind up the clock. He got so tired of inviting him that he gave him his own room so he could wind up the clock every day. And from there began to do missionary work. I mean, people are very creative, very creative.
Very good.
We have a caller on the line. We have Karen. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Father Mitch. Hi, Father Jack.
Fine. Where are you from?
I'm from College Point, New York, St. Fidelis Parish.
Great. And what's your question?
My question for Father Jack is, are the members of the Extension Society, the Catholic Extension Society, are they able to get education regarding, what constitutes a good Catholic marriage? And the reason I'm asking the question is, I guess I should have prefaced it first, is that I was very interested in what Father Jack had to say about healing the culture in the second largest group of Catholics, or fallen away Catholics. And, of course, there's a lot of pain and suffering attached to broken marriages for the children, etc. So marriage is a very big interest for the Catholic Church and the healing of the culture. So that's my question.
All right. Thank you, Karen.
And it's one of the things, Karen, that the bishops of the United States are very concerned about also, and one of the things they really put as one of the primary focuses for the evangelization of our new evangelization of our church is how to strengthen marriage and family life. And many of the programs that we find ourselves supporting at the request of the bishops of these dioceses and the parishes is around strengthening marriage and family life.
Yeah, we have an extraordinarily high number of children being born to single mothers. In some communities, it's 60, 70%. And, the need to build up the family again is a very important part of the work of the church, because kids need their parents, to be intact in order to raise them.
I absolutely agree, Father Mitch, and it's one of the most important things that I think that we as a Catholic community can be doing to strengthen family life.
Yeah. Let's take another question. We have one from our studio audience. Sir, where are you from?
I'm from Greenville, South Carolina.
Great, welcome.
Thank you. I was born in a little tiny town in South Carolina down near Charleston, and it was a little farming community, and there was no Catholic church and very, very few Catholics around. But anyway, my grandfather decided he was going to have a church. And so I think he got in touch with the Extension Society. I used to hear him talk about that a lot. But anyway, a church got built. And I just wondered, how do you work with people like that, Father, to get churches in small communities like that?
Well, that is absolutely at the heart of our project, and that is to make sure that wherever people want to gather in faith, that they can have a church. And as you described, some of those churches have been very, very humble in the beginnings, but it's amazing how communities, once they begin to take shape and form, how they draw other people to it as well. So we continue to spend several $1 million a year trying to help people build churches. And now primarily through challenge grants. We go to community and say, if we can help you by presenting this challenge grant, could you raise the money sufficient to open the church? There's a beautiful story told recently in Lamar, Missouri, where a family, a small community, the church burned down. It was arson by a young man that was disturbed, and he burned down the Catholic church there, and they needed to rebuild it. And we had built the original church with them, and we were able, through a challenge grant, to build a new one. It was very exciting.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. God bless. I hope that poor guy gets some help.
Yeah.
Now we have another caller on the line, Joan. Hello, Joan. Hello, Joan, you there?
Yes, it's Joe.
Oh, Joe. Okay, they call me Joan. Where are you from?
Davenport, Iowa.
Great. And what's your question?
Well, my question is, in Oklahoma, where they moved the Cherokee Nation, which was actually 5 tribes, and they moved all of the Native Americans in Iowa down to Oklahoma and other tribes, how are things going there since you have so many different tribes in Oklahoma?
Oh, thank you very much.
It was funny because I was saying to Father Mitch earlier that all the places I've been to, I've yet to get to Oklahoma, and it's very important for me to get there. I've one of the real learnings for me has been the whole history of the Native Americans in our country, and how the legacy of those years has really created situations that are just so dispiriting. And wherever I've gone, I found that the Catholic Church's presence in these communities has been deeply valued by the Native American communities and tribes and nations. There's a certain value that the Catholic wisdom and Catholic imagination has on understanding indigenous experiences and trusting that the mystery of God life and God's Spirit is present in people. And I think there's a wonderful confluence between the gospel and the Catholic experience of faith in these Native American communities. And so I've not been to Oklahoma yet. I'm looking forward to it. I know the Journey of Tears, etc., that brought the Cherokee Nation to Oklahoma, and I'm very anxious to learn more about it.
I used to teach in Tulsa, and I was asked to go to one of the Native American reservations to give some lectures. And I was very impressed not only with the faith life of the community, but also with the beauty of the church. The parish where I went had absolutely stunning stained glass windows. You know, they including scenes from Native American life, and they were old style, stained glass windows that were in a very large church, and I was very impressed with not only that expression of the faith, but with the way that the people were themselves living out their faith. And so I hope you get a chance to get over there soon, because there's some great things going on in Oklahoma among the Native Americans.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think one of the things I've just been very touched by myself is the beautiful religious iconography that is being created in the many different cultures of our country.
Yes.
That really speak to people's vivid experience of the beauty of our faith, the beauty of the mystery of God at work in their own life and through their own creativity. We put out a calendar every year. It's actually a wonderful way to support the work of Catholic Extension. If you get a parish calendar, check and see if we are the producers of it, because 100% of the revenues that come from those calendars go right to the home mission diocese. So check with your parish calendar. But we are actually creating calendars now that would bring out some of the beautiful iconography that's being created throughout our own country in terms of the religious imagination of our people.
Yes. Yeah. We have another caller, Jerry. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Father Mitch.
Hi, where are you from?
Redondo Beach, California, Father.
Great. And what is your question?
Father, I'd like to ask your guest, Father Jack, what criteria the Catholic Extension Society uses to determine where they're going to do their work. They must get more requests than they can support, and I was just wondering what the criteria they use are. Thank you.
Oh, that's a very interesting question.
And it's a wonderful question. And you're right, there's tremendous need out there. We're able to right now give about $20 million a year to the work of the mission diocese. But when you split it up, it's significant, but we could be doing a lot more.
And by the way, that's 1/3 of the Catholics of the country giving $1.
That's right.
You know, if every Catholic gave $1 to the Extension Society,
look where we'd be.
Then you would have 3 times as much to give away.
And it would be a wonderful testimony to all of us together. This is one of the things I really think would be a great thing to be, if we really did this in solidarity with one another. But to get to the question, it's a very important one, and we really want to make sure that we are trying to respond to the deepest needs of those dioceses. And so the bishops of the diocese are very, very involved. The bishop also often brings together people that are really directly involved in the works. And they are there to be the ones that judge the quality and the value of the program as we created it. But we're trying to develop more and more strategic partnerships with the diocese. We're also trying to connect with Catholic universities, Catholic seminaries, Catholic theological schools, and other kinds of resources to really make sure that what is being expressed in the church life of those communities is of the highest quality and the deepest faith conviction that we can possibly make it happen. We're very deeply moved by the experiences of church that we have encountered, and there's a wonderful bishops out there that are very close to their people. It's a whole different experience when you go to a big diocese when there's hundreds of thousands of Catholics, and to go to many of these dioceses and seeing people warmly embrace their bishop and seeing the bishop calling so many people by name. Although physically there might be great distances, there's a warmth and a sense of community that is very, very apparent, and you sense that people really know what is happening and what's going on. So,
and also you get a sense. I've been into some dioceses with small populations and great expanse, but the bishop also knows what's going on. He has a good sense of his people.
Yes, and I think that the communities themselves have a deep awareness of what is really needed. There's a great sense of ownership of the church because they don't have often a lot of priests or religious or even lay professional leadership. The leadership is developed from within. The diaconate and deacon couples is a powerful expression of church in many of these communities, and so we're really very touched by the experiences that we have of the church that's going on in those communities.
We have another call. We have Peggy on the line. Hello, Peggy. Peggy, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Where are you from?
I'm from Minnesota.
Great, and what's your question?
Well, I wanted to mention to Father that as a child I had attended the church in St. Ignatius, Montana, and the priest spoke to the people in Salish, their native language. But I also wanted to tell him thank you, because when we lived in a little bush town in Alaska, Glen Ellen, Alaska, the Extension Society provided a church for us. It was a double-wide trailer, and the priest lived in the bedroom, and we had Mass in the living room and classes in the other bedroom. So it was a very wonderful thing for us.
Thank you for that story, Peggy. You've had an interesting life, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be up in Alaska, hopefully at the end of June. They claim that the largest parish in the world is up in Alaska and includes much of the Aleutian Islands. And they literally have to fly into communities to celebrate the Eucharist. There's just not enough of a community there to sustain a priest on a regular basis, but they fly in regularly across great distances.
Right. These kinds of stories are I'm sure very common to you, that people really do respond well to what are very humble things like a double-wide house trailer church. This is part of your everyday experience.
It is amazing, and you can't quite fathom the appreciation of people when they get their church. There's a little place in Utah where this woman, she just said, every block you go in Utah, the Mormons have their little church there, and in any town, and we never had one. And to be able to have their first church, they were living in storefronts, and they were gathering in VFW halls, and finally to have their church. And it was a very humble one as well.
Right. But it's theirs. It helps people to resonate with their own experience as Catholics.
Absolutely.
We have another caller. Rose, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Where are you from?
I'm from Shadyside, Ohio.
Great.
But I was originally from Massachusetts, and I lived in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I've just moved from there. But I am inspired by the Extension Society. Ever since I was a very small girl in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, there was a little mission church there that was helped by the Extension Society. And it was also helped in Shadyside, in St. Mary's Shadyside, where I am now. I'm impressed with their work for Vocations, for their work with all the different places that they build new churches. And it's been since I'm a little girl, and I'm now 76. So I'm enthralled with them. I get their 5 calendars a year, and I as often as I can, I try to help them.
Thank you very much, Rose. I appreciate that.
And I do too, Rose. That's very, very thoughtful of you. And just a couple of points. The fact that you said that Extension really has been throughout the country. There's probably not too many dioceses that it has not touched in some way. Some of the biggest dioceses today were mission dioceses. All those dioceses in California, the big cities, those were all mission dioceses at one time, and all received support from Catholic Extension. So it's a wonderful way to express our Catholicity. I can't thank you enough, Rose, for your support of it through the years, and please tell your friends about it. The second thing I would say is, this really is about the future of the church. There is a young church taking shape and form. It's young people, and to touch them in their youth is to touch them forever. And to be able to do strong youth ministry and campus ministry, every one of these dioceses, none of them have Catholic universities. They're all state universities, secular community, but campus ministry is so strong in these places, and from them, future priests, future lay leaders are being developed. It's a wonderful thing to see the growth of the Catholic experience. I know sometimes we can be dispirited, but it's a powerful thing to see the church young and vibrant and alive and hopeful, and to be involved in it all together is a great gift.
Yeah, when we were talking before the program, we mentioned places like Texas A&M.
Yes.
Among many others, where there's a very vibrant Catholic community of professors and students, and it is just hopping. And the crowds are big. They have 150 converts a year, just converts,
yes.
Coming into the church and the university community. And you all can help. The Extension Society helps at a lot of these Catholic ministries.
Yes. And we were talking earlier, and there is something often when you're Catholic and in a minority in a situation, all of a sudden the question of your faith becomes something more important. I understand, I haven't been to Texas A&M, but some of our staff has been there, and I understand there's a great T-shirt saying Catholic Aggies on it all over town. And but I do know a wonderful place right close by here at Florida State, and the Diocese of Pensacola, Tallahassee, and there's a new community of brothers, the Brothers of Hope, the Brotherhood of Hope, and young men that have chosen to focus their whole attention on campus ministry. And I think they've, in their very short period of time there, I think there's 27 young people have entered priesthood religious life, and 2 of the 3 people who are ordained from that diocese came from Florida State in their work there.
See, that's one of the things that's very important to see, where you see concrete results coming out of this expression of faith. Again, the expression of the faith we can't quantify, but we see some of these quantifiable results, like vocations to religious life and to the priesthood. And this is a great kind of excitement of what's going on throughout the church or in the country.
And I think donors today too really are asking the question of, is my donation making a difference? Is this a worthwhile investment? And I think when you see the future church, the young church being shaped and formed in these wonderful ways, it's a very powerful experience of saying, I'm making a difference and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, sharing the gift of faith with a new generation.
Yeah, no, that's quite exciting. And in a place like Alabama, as you mentioned, we don't have a Catholic college in this diocese. The Diocese of Mobile does, but Spring Hill, but this diocese does not. So we really depend on the campus ministry as a way to keep contact with our Catholic youth. And this is a very important part of the kind of contribution that Extension Society can do in the country.
And we are very, very much committed to that. It's one of our places where we really want to invest our support and funds to really expand the possibilities of youth ministry and campus ministry and religious education. These are fundamental things that make the future possible.
Well, it sounds like, great things are going on. I mean, you're helping to build churches, you're helping with the building of schools, getting educational programs, especially for the future leaders of the church, the priests, seminarians, religious, deacons, lay leaders. and working with campus ministry, working with Native American missions. And it's really a lot of variety of what you're able to accomplish. And I want to give people one more time where they can contact Catholic Extension Society USA. You can call during business hours at 1-800-842-7804, 1-800-842-7804. Or you can go to the internet and go to CatholicExtension.org, CatholicExtension.org. And you can become a partner with a missionary or a mission. And in a variety of ways, you can do that through your prayer and other kind of support, as well as helping out the Extension Society. We've run out of time, I'm afraid. It's gone by quickly. But I want to thank you very much, Father Jack, for being with us. And I'd like you, if you would join me in blessing our audience. May Almighty God bless you and keep you and cause His face to shine upon you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And we need to remind you, things are tough in this country. There are a lot of needs, the tornado victims, the flood victims, and so on. But I'm afraid EWTN also has its needs. And we need your support. So please keep us in between the gas bill, the electric bill, and the cable bill so we can pay all our bills. God bless you.